Good morning. I promised a delivery today, and we are speaking about the moves and the bad behaviors of criminal trespassers attempting to wound and conflict and confuse and sabotage. I can't believe that we are here. What a beautiful start to summer so far, especially if you live on the East Coast. Welcome to June the 3rd, 2025, and you are alive, and we should celebrate that today. However, uh, we have a big wart to talk about. So here we go. Um, what we're going to go over today is the stuff that the perps do to destroy your things, and this is just a couple recent things that are easy for me to think of off the top of my head. However, if I actually gave it a lot of thought, which the gang stalkers don't deserve, I could sit there and probably just write and write all the things that have happened. And these things are important because these perpetrators are breaking the law and getting away with it. So we need to do something about it. So, what I had noticed was I have this orchid that I bought a few months ago, even though I had purchased it in the cooler months, maybe February or so. And it's a pretty purple orchid. And I'm very horticulturally challenged, though I have four children and they are doing exceptionally well. Um, Flowers are not my thing, but my orchid was doing just fine through the winter months, even though I keep my home a little bit cooler. And any of you who are good at flowers here, I could definitely use some help or some pointers. So feel free to comment if you have some advice. Now, I am planning to take this orchid and repot it. But what I noticed was each time I was leaving the house, and sometimes I was leaving to go hike, so I was gone for a little while. This was even while my kids were in the house. Well, they were out with me hiking, but what was happening was the petals kept falling off of the orchid. Now, I had suspected that if the break-ins started up again, which they have, that somebody would tamper with my plant, because I had a beautiful sunflower last year growing in a pot in the house. I mean, it was just amazing. It was one of those little dollar tree items that you can purchase in a little pot with little seeds, and you can just start your plant right in your house. And this sunflower was gorgeous. And it took off great, and it just died. One day I came home and it was just dead. So I'm not sure if they're poisoning my plants or what, but I did find some powder, which leads me to another thing, some white powder on my tennis shoes that I use to work out in every day. Now, the last thing that you would want, what I want you to pay attention to here is I found a white substance on, these are my exact words, a white substance on my exercise shoes. And an attorney once taught me to pay close attention to the wording before and after, you know. So I said white substance on my exercise shoes. So when you're exercising, you don't want to be a druggie, right? You don't want to be like, malaise or lackadaisical or laid back, or I mean, at least I don't. I exercise to get some aerobic activity, to get my heart rate up and to sweat a little bit. And that's good for us, especially in this situation. So the last thing I would want is some sort of white substance on my tennis shoes, some sort of drug. And I had read recently about this potentially happening. I've seen other instances where I've noticed this on certain things that I touch or certain things in my home. But back to the orchid. So what I had noticed was the very last time when I really suspected somebody was breaking in, and there are several things that had happened at the same time, was that a beautiful bright petal was down in the bottom of the pot that had fallen off. And I thought, well, the stem doesn't even, it's not even it didn't even change color, so that flower shouldn't even have fallen. So it must have been pushed. It must have been purposefully torn off. Now, At the same time, and I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit here. I had also noticed that my door lock seems to be funny. Like somebody has kind of carved out part of the trim. The deadbolt having issues again. So all sorts of things in that way. But I've got all sorts of watchers that I notice from every vantage point in my house that are very stalkerish, and that's kind of creepy. And they look obvious. They look guilty. So, it's some other things to note that were happening and coinciding with this would be the nail polish that I had noticed that they were stealing. But I have this in my other broadcasts that I promised you that are odd things that the thieves steal. So I'll talk a little bit more about that then. But what they basically did was they stole a newer product, and I realize this is trivial sounding, guys, okay? But it's the principle of it. It upsets your gut, your gut heart balance, right? It makes you a little bit more anxious, a little scared because you're like, what's happening again? You're confused. Your emotional, psychological health is at stake. Your physical well-being is at stake. So it's the principle, right? You shouldn't have your safe place being broken into and somebody stealing from you, no matter what the item is. So they broke in, they took this red nail polish, which it's not brand new. It's like a pinkish red nail polish, right? And they took that, and then what they did was they actually put about 5 nail polishes that were pretty bad, like they were all dried up. They put them back into my basket under my sink, and they were sticky on the outside. They even had contents coming out of them, like bubbling out the sides, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure what they mixed in with it to cause that effect. But they also ended up, there were cotton balls stuck to the outside, like they were feathered, like the bottles were like feathered. It's very strange. Anyways, so they will take the stuff from the trash and bring it back to your house. And they've done this with mascara, lipsticks, and whatnot. But the orchid, I've noticed that this is happening. Now, there's another item that I've purchased from Amazon, and I love this, you guys. It is an organic granola. So my son, who is extremely healthy, my 15-year-old, is in, impeccable health. And I remember hiking behind him up some trails in West Virginia here. And I realize why most West Virginians don't hike. I realize why they don't hike. And I'm fit. I'm physically fit at 47. But hiking behind a 15-year-old who is in impeccable shape. This kid, I basically tell him to slow down a little bit so that mommy doesn't fall off the side of the ledge. Anyway, so the Love Granola is organic, and it is good. It's got little bits of strawberries, chocolate, and it is really good. It's a good price, and I found it on, I think the first time I found it was Amazon. I may have seen it in a store. But anyways, there are a couple brands that we buy. Aldi's has a good, it's in like a yellow, orange, light beige bag, like an oat granola. And we like to put this in our yogurt. This is our new thing, you guys. It's really good. It's good for you. And it's easy. It's gentle on the tummy if you can handle this stuff. Now, I don't always do full-blown dairy yogurt, but these things are a good snack for you. And I hope that this helps today. If you're listening, it makes you feel a little better. But anyway, so I bought this Love Granola until I mentioned this part, right? It was all good until this. And it comes with bullet holes in it. And I bought this several times, but in succession recently, I bought it 2 times, 2 separate times. I bought 2 smaller bags of it. And they have it offered in a bigger bag. But I had bought it once before online, and I don't remember it coming with bullet holes, because the thing is, when we grab the back and the front of the bag, when I pinch it with my thumbs are in the front and my fingers are in the back, when we go to grab this bag to seal it, to press the zip seal across, we're holding the whole bag, and you can feel the bullet holes they're in the bag. And I started examining the bag, and then I got the second one in the mail, and I started looking that one over. It doesn't have as many bullet holes in it. So I'm not sure if the the CIA and SA, whoever the 3-digit pigs are, and their prostitutes are coming in and putting the holes in just to show us that they can, or if these arrived this way. The thing was, the first one had more bullet holes than the second one, and the second one had come not too long after I had seen what was going on with the first one. So not sure about that, but just wanted to mention that to you guys to check for bullet holes. And I feel like when I'm holding this, that I'm actually doing some sort of Morse code. That's literally how this feels. I wish, the thing is, I'm going to have to start putting this on camera so that I can actually show you guys what I'm talking about, because I realize without the visual, it's a little difficult, but this is definitely interesting. The eggs in the refrigerator are broken almost all the time. I mean, there's never a time when I can't look in the refrigerator and there's a broken egg. Never had this in the past, but I'm having this on a regular basis. Now, usually they're stuck to the container, and sometimes we have somebody shop for us and pick up our eggs. So this is definitely a problem. My son's saying, we got to go in and pick out the eggs in person every time, Mom, which is just another chore for us, as considering we're pretty busy people. Also, another thing that can happen to make it appear like an accident or just, a random thing would be when you do an online grocery pickup and you pull in at a merchant and you're picking up your groceries, and somebody puts your groceries, loads them into the back of your car. I have had jars of pickles and salsa broken in the back of the car, leaking all over the car so as to make a mess, so as to maybe cause you to get cut. And this seems to be done purposefully. Let's see what it says here, the wording. Okay. Sometimes clothing is deliberately, like if you buy a new suit jacket for work, sometimes the holes, the pockets, or what have you, are deliberately sewn shut. And you can rip them, even if you don't have a seam ripper in hand. You can just kind of, work your way with your hand through the pockets, and you can see that there is something interesting happening there. Sometimes they're sewn too small, like they're sewn where they're not supposed to be sewn, so as to make them a little smaller, a little more difficult to wear. Sometimes they might be made specifically for you, either to harm or hurt, depending on if you're jumping into the trafficking system. Like if I would start dating again, I would probably be thrown back into the trafficking pool of hell. And therefore, things would be done right for me so that I could reap the maximum benefit of gaining another narcissist in my life. So these are just a few examples of the most recent things. The next video to look out for would be and I might even do this again today. It's a little different from this one. It's going to be the odd things that thieves steal. And you guys, let me know if you would rather me do this with a visual on camera so that I can actually show you. I would love to share with you the love granola. So maybe I would do a live broadcast and kind of put these things on here. But wait until you look for the odd things thieves steal. And we're going to talk about how the Parmesan cheese goes missing. Stay tuned for that. And I mean, this is where my life's going, you guys. So, but we've made it this far, and I want to send a blessing out to each and every one of you. I want to share with you that the ladies who are making the YouTube videos, who are very positive and uplifting, energetic light seekers, who are helping those of us who are down and out right now thrive. Thank you, and what a blessing you are to have, because the men are running like cowards and fools right now. We need the women to step up, and this is what we have right now. We have a disaster on our hands, and ladies, thank you for doing such a great job. I'm really grateful for you and for your messages that you're putting out there. You're very helpful and inspiring.